everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my digital bullet journal setup for August 2020. I'm using the Apple iPad in the 10.2 inch, the standard iPad, and I also use the GoodNotes 5 app and an Apple Pencil. I'll have everything linked down below if you're interested. If you want to see a specific spread, I have all of the timestamps linked down below. At the end of this video, I'm going to show you how I use all of these different spreads, so stick around for that. And as well, if you don't want to necessarily make these spreads yourself, or if you don't have an iPad or a bullet journal but you want to use the bullet journal method, I do have access to a PDF of all of the spreads exclusively available to my members. So for those of you who are signed up to support the channel, you can have access to all of these spreads and you'll get a new one every single month. So if you would like to do that, I will have the join linked down below, or it'll be beside the subscribe button. Thanks so much to all of the members and to all of the subscribers, and that's it from me, so I hope you enjoy this video. So first I just wanted to show you guys the color palette for this month in case you want to do this yourself on your own iPad. So you can see the different hexadecimal values. We've got this sort of yellowy color, kind of a coral pink color, and a light purple color, and they're the accent colors for this month. And now to get into the first spread, which is our monthly layout. So this month I kind of wanted to go for some of a theme because I've been getting a bit bored of the standard calendar layout, so I'm doing something a bit kind of funky. And again, you can just see like the ease that it is to kind of do things really easily with the iPad using GoodNotes 5 for this. So you can just see it's so easy to change things when you make mistakes, and you will see a theme of this video is me just like not being able to do the drop shadows on S's at all. So lots of reformatting there. But for this month I wanted to go for kind of a geometric theme, and only really for this main spread, and it's not really a feature as much anywhere else, but this may not be your thing, but I just wanted to kind of do something a bit different. And basically, because it's getting back to sort of school time in August, I always associate that with going back to school, so that's just kind of what I had on my mind. So the first thing I'm doing is just kind of creating these shapes, and again, with GoodNotes 5, it's so easy to make really kind of crisp, clear shapes. So that's what I'm using as the sort of things for the different days of the calendar. And then I just repeat this pattern of circles, squares, and triangles all throughout. And I really think it looks pretty cool, but again, it might not be your thing. It is pretty easy to do stuff like this in GoodNotes 5, but it definitely takes a little while. So that's what I'm getting up to for the first while, is just formatting all of these. And now I'm just formatting the kind of calendar to make it the right shape and placing it where I want. Again, super easy with GoodNotes 5. And then I'm adding in my sort of days of the week little things and kind of keeping up that yellow, pinky, purple kind of color palette, which I really liked. I thought it was really nice and summery, and this is kind of the last month of summer, even though it's technically autumn, but it's nice to kind of keep up those colors and things like that. So I'm going to be using this calendar layout again for our habit tracker, so I just copied that onto another page super quick, and then I'm just filling in a little bit where we can have the days. And this part definitely took some time. This entire spread definitely was the longest, but I really loved how it turned out, and I think it's super great. Again, if this isn't your thing in terms of spending tons of time doing these things, you can get access to my spreads, and I will show you how at the end of this video. Now I'm just going ahead and adding in the labels for the days of the week, and then adding in all of the different dates as well. And the last thing to do for this spread is just add in a little goal section. So I'm doing similar font to as before, which is just pretty simple handwritten letters. And then I'm using the same different geometric shapes for the different places that I can put in the goals. So I can put in a different goal in each of those. So total of 5 goals for the month, and you'll see at the end of this video how I am filling in these spreads so you can get an idea of how I use them, so stick around if you want to see that. Moving on to my weekly overviews, you'll see one thing that I also find handy about using GoodNotes is that I can just kind of write in the title for each page that I intend to do, and then I can kind of come back to it. So I like doing the weekly overviews because it gives me a bit more room than you would typically have in the calendar, and I can split up everything to have different topics. So I typically plan out things for YouTube, Daisier, my startup, my PhD work and any project works, as well as personal things. So it's just really handy to have a ton of space, and I think these two spreads together allow you to have a lot of kind of monthly planning. So you can see that I split this up each week. I split up into 5 sections, and that allows me to plan out different aspects of my life all on the one spread, and I feel like that's super helpful and it helps keep everything organized, and I really like using this. I've been using it for a couple of months now, and I've just found that it's super helpful for getting yourself organized, especially if you have multiple commitments like I do, as you all know. And moving on to the habit trackers, sorry for the lighting here, it did get super dark all of a sudden, and I do fix it in a second, so please be patient. But typically in these habit trackers you would label each kind of calendar. This is similar to what Amanda H. Lee does. Okay, thankfully about to fix the lighting. Yes, okay, perfect. So typically you would fill in each day once you've completed a habit. So the idea is if you've followed your habits throughout the month, you should then end up with these completely colored in. So I'm just labeling each one here so you can have each little calendar as a different habit. Just to show you what was going on during this time, you can see how freaking stormy it is and how unimpressed. Well, I was very unimpressed because I was just trying to enjoy a nice peaceful moment, and it was so stormy, which is so weird for here. So annoying. Anyways, I won't subject you to this any longer. Back to the normal stuff. So just finishing off the habit tracker spread and then organizing it, making sure it's all laid out nice and evenly. And then moving on to my papers to read spread. So this is where I keep track of all of the papers that I want to read or have read. And what I like about this again is that I can just copy and paste these pages if I want to have multiple ones of these throughout the month. And similarly, if you're going to use my spreads, you will have the ability to print out multiple pages or copy multiple pages if you want. And I think that's something that's really helpful about having this kind of digital layout instead of the paper layout, which I have been using up until last month. So here I'm just making a big table, and this is where I'll be able to store all of the papers. And then I go back and just add in some headings for this, so the title of the paper, the authors, and the year that the paper was written. And then next I went ahead and did a little sort of brain dump page. I actually ended up really not liking how this turned out, so I do go back at the end of this video and fix it. So if you don't like it either, don't worry, I do fix it, but I just did it pretty quickly. And the next one that I did is my first week of the month's kind of weekly spread, and I like to use a horizontal layout for this, so that's something I worked out last month, was that the vertical layout just didn't really work. It just didn't give me enough space, so I much prefer doing it this way. And again, if you are one of my members, you will be able to see me posting some more of my weekly spreads and doing short videos each week doing the weekly spreads. So again, if that's something you want to see, be sure to check out the membership link down below, or just click the join button beside the subscribe button. So here I'm just having my timers, and then I'm adding in the days of the week up the top. And for this, I like to do it as sort of a table because I like to use time blocking. It's a really helpful tool for getting organized and making sure that you know what you should be doing when. So I really like that even throughout the weekend, as I still tend to have very busy weekends, so I do a 7-day spread. You might not necessarily want to have 7 days worked out like this, but I definitely need it. The last thing that I'm doing is just a to-do list, and this I'm doing in the actual bullet journal method. So that is creating a kind of running task list, and then on the right hand side you can assign your different tasks to different days of the week and kind of cross them off as you go. So this is a handy way if you don't know necessarily when you're going to get to do different things. It's easy to plan out your tasks here, and if you decide you're going to do a task on a Tuesday and then you end up doing it on a Thursday, you can easily migrate the tasks forward. So that's just a very simple to-do list here. You can check off when you do what you need to do and fill in everything. So that is it. Now I'm just going to go back through my spreads and kind of add in some kind of extra details or fix off things. So you can see that I decided to fix the habit tracker font, like adding in the kind of lines to make it stand out a little bit more. And then I also went back and I said change the brain dump, so getting rid of the background and just kind of changing it, and then again fixing the font as well. And I just much preferred the way it looked. It's just a lot more clean. I didn't really like the layered kind of highlighter effect that ended up happening. So now just to give you a brief look into how I use these spreads, you can see on the main calendar I just fill in some main events, which might look like complete rubbish to you because it's like essentially in code language, but yes, so I filled in that, and I filled in my goals for the month as well. So you can see getting to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, which thanks to everyone who's been contributing to that goal, submitting a camera ready copy of a paper, soft launching Daisier, so that's a pretty big one, kind of doing some beta testing we're trying to do, reading 100 papers, and that's more so sorting out 100 papers that I want to read. Doing some daily exercise is my other goal. And you can see how I use my weekly overviews, filling in the different things I want to do throughout the week, so working on projects, thesis, Daisier, YouTube, and just personal stuff. And then I can fill in any events that come up throughout the month in a more detailed way than the standard calendar. Then moving on to the habit tracker, I just filled in some different habits that I want to work on that I haven't necessarily been keeping up with recently. And you can see that it's basically when you do certain ones, you fill in the day that you did it, and then you should hopefully end up with a completely colored in little calendar. And it's a great way to just keep track of whether you're sticking to healthy habits and things like that. So I think the papers to read spread is pretty self-explanatory, and the brain dump as well. You just kind of throw down whatever and then you can reorganize it later on. Lastly, just to show you how the weekly spread works, I typically use time blocking, so I'm just kind of dividing up the day into different sections that will have different things. So doing a workout, having some breakfast and reading and things like that, and then moving on to doing some work on reading papers, followed by walks, lunch, more work, and more kind of chill out stuff. And lastly, just to show you all of the different spreads which you can have access to when you join the membership. You can do that by following the link in the description or hitting the button beside the subscribe button, and every month you will get a new version of these to go alongside my planner videos, and we will be doing weekly plan with me's for the month of August on my membership community. So if that's something you're into, be sure to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.